Hello, Candace Claire with swansage.com, and today we're making some really healthy chocolate. And so what I'm going to show you, and it's the way I cook, is I don't measure everything out, but you can eyeball it. And what I really would like to do with my viewers is really help people understand that you don't have to be exact. You get a feel for things, and they turn out. You can add or subtract if you need to. So right now I'm starting out with just a bowl with the powdered raw cacao. So it's organic raw cacao, and I'm just starting out with, this is probably about a cup and a half, I would guess. And I'm going to start with adding dry ingredients. And what I want to show you is the base. You could just do the raw cacao, add a sweetener of your choice, which could be anything from raw honey to stevia, if you're really watching blood sugar, to monk fruit, which is also a really healthy sugar that doesn't tend to have the sort of damaging effects that regular sugar would. So you have a few choices, and I'll just show you what I'm going to do here. But if you don't want to use the sweetener I'm using, then choose another one. And so also what I want to show you is that when you're making chocolate, so this is quite different from what you find at the grocery store of, like a Butterfinger or something. It's just, that doesn't have redeeming qualities. I'm going to make you a superfood chocolate that is actually good for you. So cacao is actually, it's very high antioxidant, but it's also very good for the mood, especially when you combine it with a few things, which I'll talk about. So I made a powder that I use in smoothies, and I'm going to use it in here to make it easier, because we always want to try to figure out how to shortcut and make things easier. Everybody's short on time. So in here, I've labeled this. This is all powdered version. I have some chaga, which is the highest antioxidant mushroom you can find. Very good for the immune system. Reishi is right there with it. It's kind of the king and the queen of medicinal mushrooms, and these are, over time, will really help strengthen your immune system. There's a lot of great research when people do have cancer and they're just needing to really build up their immune system again. So you have chaga and reishi every day. I have it in tea every day. It's just a great thing to add to a lot of things that you're making. So we're going to put it in the chocolate. I also have some maca, which is an adaptogenic herb. So adaptogens just help you adapt to stress in whatever it is. So it can either, if you sort of need to, for an example, like if you're needing if you have high blood pressure or low blood pressure, sometimes these adaptogenic herbs can help balance that. So maca is that. It's an adaptogenic herb. Lucuma is a very high altitude fruit that is not going to be spiking your blood sugar. So it just gives a little sweetness. Ashwagandha is another adaptogenic herb. This is very familiar to those in the Ayurvedic tradition, meaning like strength of 100 horses. Milk thistle is a wonderful herb that is to really just help soothe the liver. Our livers are so overworked in the environment, the toxin environment that we live in today. So, having a little milk thistle every day is just a wonderful way to just say, I love you to your liver. A little vanilla to give it that beautiful, sensual taste. And then a little bit of cardamom, cinnamon, and ginger, just a little bit those are really good digestive spices. They're kitchen herbs that, again, you start cooking with these things and using them, you're helping your body. So those are all wonderful for helping your digestion. Cinnamon is also known to really help stabilize blood sugar. So if people, need to really watch that, having a little cinnamon every day is great. So I've got about a tablespoon. I'm going to do a heaping tablespoon. Actually, I'm going to do 2 in this amount. So I've got those herbs and adaptogens and all that kind of good stuff. And I'm going to also, this is kind of a funny thing to add, but I'm making these chocolates for a meditation class. So I've got some organic bazuela resin powder. This is the frankincense. So you can, this could overpower it. So I'm just going to do like a teaspoon of that. But you know, my goodness, frankincense has been a holy, a holy herb, a holy essential oil, a holy resin in ancient traditions, ancient religions, ancient spirituality. It's very purifying, and it's also really good to help connect with, you know, with divine energies. So I put about a teaspoon of that in there, and I'm going to use a natural vitamin C. I believe this is from let me get my glasses just to double check here, from the it's the acerola cherry extract powder. So it's a food form of a whole food form of vitamin C that's powdered. I'm going to throw in a teaspoon of that, and I'm going to put in maybe not even a whole teaspoon of spirulina. So this with the cacao, and then with the oils that we're going to add, will really make this a wonderful brain food. So, you know, when you eat this, there's no guilt, and actually you can really feel great about, you know, finding a beautiful way to deliver these wonderful superfoods to your body in a very delicious way. So those are my powders. It's always nice to add a little sea salt that marries flavors. So I've got a beautiful there's 5 different ancient sea salts in here, and I'm just gonna put in maybe like a quarter teaspoon, maybe not even, and that will help actually boost the flavors, and it will also really give you know, a nice kind of melding together. I always think of salt as marrying flavors. It's like once you have your dish prepared and you have just a little of sea salt. Sea salt, by the way, is not bad for you. All those studies you hear about how bad salt is, they're not using, none of those studies, according to my teachers, none of those studies are using real sea salt. It's the adulterated salt. So sea salt is really important for the body. So I've added that. And now I'm going to add a nice spoonful, but I'm going to put this in. I've already got warmed up. You can see this. I put it on a double broiler. Just some wonderful, I'll hold this up for you, coconut butter. That's going to be very enriching. And I'm also going to add, which I actually want to add into this, some cacao butter. So stay tuned. 1 second, let me grab it. So as you can see, we have the dry ingredients, and these melted velvety ingredients are what give this just the beautiful, it's more sensual in the taste, and it gives it that rich flavor. So this is quite a large, it's an organic cacao butter. I'm gonna cut off a piece of that and put it in to melt with these other ingredients. And so I've got a nice chunk of it, and I'm gonna let this just slowly, we don't want to overheat it, which is why I have it over the double broiler there. And in the meantime, we'll get our sweeteners out. So I am going to, I always like to use a little stevia. This is a vanilla stevia. And because we're making actual chocolates, on the dry ingredients, I'm going to add a little bit more of the organic vanilla bean powder, because that also just gives it such a, you know, it's like what we've got is like the masculine here in the cacao. It's very associated with the energy of the sun, and then the feminine energies that, you know, these beautiful white creamy essences that we're gonna put these together. And you know, vanilla is just such a beautiful way again to it's like a very rich floral, is what I'd like to say with that one. And I am going to use some raw honey, and I'm going to actually, you never want to actually heat honey to boiling. It's okay to heat it, but not to boiling. So that's why with these ingredients over here that I'm making sure don't boil, I'm going to put this this raw honey in, because then it's medicine. And the raw honey, so I've got like a big tablespoon, is very antimicrobial. So it's good for your body when it's not overheated. And according to the ancient wisdom tradition of Ayurveda, it is poison if you end up boiling it, or you buy a honey that is overly processed and they used a lot of heat in doing that. So these are just little tips to help you as you're learning about kitchen medicine, to really know the little ins and outs of what's good for it. So, you know, what you're finding is that, you know, everything that we are putting in this chocolate is natural. You could add, I'm not going to do it today, but just to give you some other ideas, you could not add any of these superfoods and it would still be good for you if you just did the raw cacao and then, you know, this the butters and the honey. But, you know, you've seen me add superfoods. You could do things like add turmeric, which is such, as most of us have heard of, has, you know, such great anti-inflammatory properties. So, you know, that's another way to do your chocolate. You could just do turmeric, add crushed rose petals or rose powder. I'm going to add a little bit. I've got actually a rose sort of extract that I'm going to put in there, because, you know, rose is one of the highest vibration plants, and it can be delivered in so many ways. It can be just a rose water. It can be a rose essential oil. It can be just the rose buds, and you can make that into a tea. There's all kinds of ways to use rose. It's wonderful for the skin. It's wonderful for the mind. There's just really nothing bad about rose. It's highly indicated for helping people with depression, as is frankincense. Frankincense is another good one for that. And with these medicinal chocolates, if you're having some issues with feeling a little depressed, this what we're making is an antidepressant food. So we're almost done here. This is warming up nicely. I'm going to turn off the fire again because I don't want this to get too hot. And I will go ahead, and as it continues to melt a little bit, I'll bring it on over here. And then we're going to add these, the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, and then we're going to pour it into molds. And that's really all we have to do. It's pretty easy. So it's not like you have to, you know, have some big, long, laborious event to make this superfood chocolate. And I'm just waiting. I'm just trying to get the raw honey, as I'll hold this up a little bit, but just trying to get the raw honey to fully integrate into these beautiful butters. And I also put in, as I'm remembering, about a tablespoon and a half of some raw, beautiful organic coconut oil. So here again, we've got all of the unctuous, creamy ingredients that are really going to help this chocolate be really flavorful and sweet and enjoyable. So as I mentioned, I'm going to add a little bit. This is a rose petal elixir. So I'm just going to add 2 dropperfuls of that. just to give it that wonderful rose. Actually, I'm going to do 3 dropperfuls just to give it that wonderful rose essence. And then I'm going to add a little stevia because that gives it, you need very little for a sweetener, but I think most of us like our chocolate kind of sweet, so I'm going to add that. And then lastly, I'm going to add a beautiful plant-based DHA. We all know that, you know, these omegas are so important for us. This is from Symbiotica, and it is just a wonderful, I'll show you, it's a wonderful rich color, if you can see that, rich orange color. So I'm going to add a couple of squirts of that into this, and it's pretty much ready to start mixing in with our dry goods. So I'm going to pour this in and then mix it all together. And I'm sure it is already looking amazing. And then as you're mixing this, like if you need a little more of something, you know, say it was too dry to pour, then you could heat up some more of these wonderful oils, or if you felt like it was a little too thin, then just add some more cacao. It's that easy. And that's why I'm trying to get away from being too tied to, like, oh, if I did a half a teaspoon too much, is that okay? Like, it's all okay. And let's always, I mean, I don't think I have to do anything to it. It's already got a beautiful sweet flavor. I'm going to double check with this other spoon. Yeah, it's really nice. So these are these wonderful little forms, silicone forms, that they make little rosettes. And all I need to do is spoon this into these. And you can clean it up after you spoon it all in. And then you'll put it in the fridge or freezer for, it doesn't take that long to harden up, and you've got an amazing chocolate. So this is just one of the many things I love to show my students and my clients. I am a Chopra certified meditation teacher. I teach the full primordial sound meditation course where you get your own mantra. I can do this virtually or in person. I am a lifestyle coach, and I use all natural modalities, mostly under the umbrella of Ayurveda, which is the oldest, most beautiful healing system on the planet that is still applicable today. It is the only one that has stood the test of time for that long, so over 5,000 years. And but I apply it to our today's world. We're living, and Ayurveda is a living science. So I love to work with people. I help them with detoxification as well as nutrification. I'm also a nutritionist and an aromatherapist. So these are all ways that I personally use these habits and these practices every day of my life, and I get great joy in teaching and coaching others. So you can find me at Candice, C-A-N-D-I-C-E, at swansage.com. You can email me. That is my email, or you can find my website at www.swansage.com. I'd love to hear from you, and please let me know if you try this, how it goes. All right, namaste.